8radio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 5051 Racing Show. Welcome. Another week flying by. The weather here on Long Island, I don't get it. It snowed over like Friday into Saturday, and all day Saturday, and had some snow flurries by my job today. I don't understand it, but the racing season's upon us. It's 21 degrees down in Martinsville, Virginia for the race today. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it was just this weather. I don't know what's going on. You know, they had to cancel an open practice at the Thompson Motorsports Park because there was snow on the track, and not just a little bit. There was too much snow. I guess they have no way to put it. So anyway, we're going to start off with some sad news. I want to, prayers for the Denseski family here on Long Island. Shirley Denseski, wife of Long Island racing welder Sonny, the Ironman. Of welding here on Long Island. She passed away last week. She's, like I said, the wife of Sonny Denseski and the mother of Teddy and Eddie. Eddie, a modified driver, did some tour racing Long Island and other parts. Late models, modifieds. Teddy is a longtime crew chief, always there for him. And Shirley, one of the people you walked around at the local racetrack selling welding insurance for her husband. And I can't remember when her husband was not the track welder, and I've been around for a long time. And it's going to be weird, not seeing her walking around doing the welding insurance for the teams on Long Island. So our prayers go out to the Denseski family. It's a big loss for our racing community. But I know my daughter, Erin, sells welding insurance with her and has been with them in some capacity helping out, gosh, man, for a long, long time. As my daughter put it, she's been involved with the Denseski family since she was 4 years old, and she just turned 23. So again, prayers for that loss. Tough loss. I guess any loss is a tough one, but for some reason this one's hitting our racing community pretty hard. Anyway. So now we got that out of the way. I really feel bad. I really do. He's one of those people who's always there. Encouraging word, pat on the back, even a kick on the butt. And their cooler underneath their truck, the welding truck, was there for, you go over, can I get a drink from you? And it would be, help yourself, and they point to the cooler. So they're going to be missed. She's going to be missed. Anyway. While we're on the Goodwill, Video Mike's not doing very well. Let's get some get well wishes and some prayers out to Video Mike. Video Mike, if he's not in the hospital, he's in the chat room. And he's been in and out of the hospital over the last few months. And he's having some health issues. So prayers out to Video Mike for a speedy recovery. And hopefully everything goes well as it can be for Mike. Mike, a videographer. Has racing videos from all over the country, all different series, and I actually met him at a motorsports expo a few years back, and never made the connection all these years until I saw him at Mountain Speedway when I went to Mountain for the first time. So get well wishes to Mike. Anyway, what do we got? What do we got going? I saw something today on the social media that kind of, I don't want to say bothered me, but it was disturbing, and maybe it's me. There was somebody in here who was looking for safety equipment, and one of the items that was number one in his hit parade was a HANS device. HANS, an acronym for Head and Neck Restraint System. And And they're not cheap. They're not cheap. So he was online looking to see, not online, but in the social network, looking to see if somebody had one for sale. Well, somebody had one. It was used, and the guy wanted $500, and he thought that was pretty steep. Now, a new one costs like $900. Now, here's my question. It's safety equipment. There's certain things you don't go cheap on. And if you're going to race, and you're going to race properly and have the proper equipment, you need to be safe and not looking for bargains in safety equipment. An old PR guy said to me one time, he goes, if you have a $10 head, you get a $10 helmet. When it comes to, you get the best. And you get number one, and the only time you get number two is if number one's going out of business and they're selling everything at a discount because it's old. You get the best when it comes to safety equipment, and I know in my heart I would not sell somebody an old helmet, an old Hans device, old seat belts. I couldn't do that in good faith, because God forbid I know how long it was laying around in my shop, but that guy or gal doesn't know. And God forbid something happens and the safety equipment gave it. I don't want to be, I'll send them to the local parts guy. I'll send them to the not so local parts guy. Don't go looking for bargains in safety equipment. Enough said with that, because it's just, it's foolish. I got hurt in a race car, and I had safety equipment. I had a good helmet, and I had brand new belts, and I had a good seat, and no firewall jokes about pizza box. I didn't race a pizza box firewall. It's starting to get annoying, and I didn't. It was, I replaced that with the right gauge steel. So it was just the way everything bent. And I got hurt in a race car, and thank God I had the proper safety equipment, because I probably wouldn't have got hurt. I would have been killed. So if you're out there and you're listening, and you're the guy that's on the social network trying to buy used safety equipment, if you can't afford the best, take another year off and save up. Just a word of advice to you. Just a word of advice, because I don't want to see anybody get hurt in a race car because they chinced on safety equipment. Enough said with that. and that ain't even the rant yet. So anyway, lots going on, coming up with racing, and the funny thing is, and this is funny, everybody's talking about how the prices of things keep going up and up and up and up and up. Well, Hoosier Tire announced a $40 decrease, I believe, in a set of tires on the Nascar Wheel and Modified Tour, a decrease. Now, $40, you say, no, it's really only $10 a tire. But when you're buying two sets and you're racing, let's say 15 races, and you're saving $40 a set, you're saving a lot of money. But that comes at a price, and that price comes at the free tire giveaway that Hoosier was given. If you won a race, if you were the top 15 in points, top 20 last week, all those free tires are gone. But so what this is helping, and I'll tell you, my hat's off to Hoosier for doing this, and I'm sure this was done in conjunction with NASCAR. My hat's off, because now the guys that aren't in the top 20, they're 21st, 22nd, 40th in points, they're going to still reap the benefits of that lower price tire. Like I said, in the course of a season, that's 30 sets of tires. You do the math. You're saving a lot of money in the long run. And I'll tell you what, I just wish some of the other vendors and suppliers were able to do that, to lower the cost of some of these things. And I look at the price of racing and the price of equipment, and I ask myself, I'm like, why is this so much money? Why? I mean, like I said earlier, it's some of it's safety equipment and all of that good stuff. But I look at this new seat that came out last year, the SFI seat that everybody had to switch to, that was costing people between $2,500 and $3,000 just for a seat. And I looked at that seat, and I looked at an older seat. And I'm looking, and I really saw no difference other than the SFI, say that 3 times fast, certification sticker. And did that sticker really, is that really worth double the price? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. And there's a lot of things I don't understand lately, but that's one of the things I don't understand. You know, we're trying to do something with the cost. What was wrong with the seat that was being used? And nobody's able to answer that question. And maybe I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, you know, from the powers to be. And I'm not talking about the radio powers to be. I'm talking about the NASCAR powers to be. Why are we spending that kind of money on us? Are they telling us that the seat they had prior to that wasn't a good enough seat? Is that what they were saying? And I look at these things. You look at the evolution of racing when it comes to safety. Think about it. You watch those old racing movies. The guy, you know, he wore a tie and a button-down shirt, and he'd get to the racetrack and he'd have that leather thing on his head that the air fighter pilots were using. And he'd roll up his sleeves and he'd loosen up his tie and he'd go racing. And he realized, you know what, guys are getting messed up here. We better put roll bars on these race cars. So they put roll bars on the race cars. And let me go back. They put seat belts. You had to have a seat belt. Sometimes it's just the belt that they used in the fighter planes, and they just put the belt on. And then what was happening was, they were flipping over. Instead of getting thrown from the car, maybe just breaking their arms or their legs, now they're breaking their necks. So they put the roll bars in it. And it just, then this bar got added, and that bar got added, and this bar, and this, now all of a sudden you're in a cage. And don't get me wrong, that's a good thing. And then I remember when Grand Nationals bars came out, and they called them Grand National bars because of, you know, an unfortunate situation at Daytona where the front end of a car was just ripped right off at the firewall because there was nothing there, because all it was a cage. And I remember it vividly, watching it on ABC's Wild World of Sports at the time. And all throughout the show at ABC, you know, they're doing, Acapulco cliff diving for 20 minutes, and then they did, the Swiss Alps skiing, and then they did, whatever, hurling on the ice with those teapot things. And then they kept saying, please judge, this is going to be bad. If you're under something, you shouldn't watch this. And I remember watching the car crash. I believe it was Dan McTavish. And all of a sudden, he was just sitting in the seat. The whole front end of the car was gone at the fire. It took the whole steering wheel, everything. It was just in the seat. And then they came out with the Grand National bars, which became part of the cage, and so forth and so on. And then years later, parts came flying through a windshield, and they put that bar in and to keep stuff from going through the windshield. And then the bar over here, the brain bar, they put that in too. And window nets, because Richard Petty flipped over and his arm went out the window, and then they all of a sudden have window nets. And that's good. And I think I was talking last week that some of these rule changes, and especially in the safety, are reactive instead of proactive. So I don't know. It was just looking back at some of the safety stuff. And I know we went off on this one, but like I said, if you're the guy or gal that's out there on the social media looking for cheap safety stuff, if you can't afford the good stuff, like I said, take a year off, make a deal with your local parts supplier, see what you can do. Don't go buying used stuff. Hey, you don't know how long it's been sitting around. The certification is probably no good on it. You're going to have to send it out and get it recertified anyway, whether it's a Hans or seatbelts or even a fire suit. Spend the money, get the good. And because it's, like I said, you don't want to get hurt in a race car. And you get hurt in a race car, a lot of times, it's a forever hurt. Okay? 18 and a half years ago, I had that big wreck, and it still hurts. And my back still hurts. My right foot still hurts. I can't stand for long periods of time. I can't sit for long periods of time. And my hands, I mangled my fingers. They still hurt. It's September 1996. And I had the right safety equipment. So don't chintz on that, please. I saw that, my blood was boiling. I said, what is this? I wanted to call the guy up, but I didn't know his number. And I was going to message him. I said, it's none of your business. But you know what? Maybe it is. If I can educate one guy. That's why I became an official. Back in 97, I became an official. I got a call from a local promoters. And it started out as a joke, like most things in life. And, you know, because I was getting calls regularly, once a week, how you feeling, how you feeling, how you doing, this, that, and the other thing. And you're coming back driving next year. And I'm sure they were just looking at, well, we need the car count, you know, is Joe coming back? And Joe Canard says, no, I'm not going to come back, but if you have an official's job for me, I'd be more than happy to take it. And about a week or two before the season started, Big Bob O'Rourke, the late Big Bob O'Rourke, calls me up, and I'm like, why is Bob O'Rourke calling me? I didn't do anything. And he goes, yeah, Bob O'Rourke, I'll never forget. He goes, there's Bob O'Rourke. Joe? I said, yeah. He goes, I hear you want to be an official. I said, yeah. He goes, all right, come down next Saturday. I said, all right. He said, what am I going to do? He says, I don't know. He says, how much is the pay? I don't know. All right, I'll come down. And I went down. I was still walking. Did I have crutches? I'm trying to think if I went there with crutches or went there with canes. I think I went there with a cane, because I went there with a cane. And I got in and he goes to me, well, what are you going to do with it? You're gonna put on this shirt and go in the pits. So what do you want me to do? I don't know, think of something. So what I did, it's kind of funny, I measured bumper heights, and I taped a piece of tape to my pants that was 14 inches high and just leaned against people's bumpers, and I checked bumper heights. And then I stood on a ramp with, at the time, Bill Bryce III, and kind of just watched the races. And that's how it all started. Anyway, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about Martinsville and what went on there with the results when we're back.
Hey, this is Chris Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Mark Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, we're back. We are back. So anyway, Martinsville. Martinsville, again, one of my favorite tracks to go to. I've been to so many events at Martinsville Speedway that I've actually lost track, but a little disappointing. You know, got to view, you know, not all of the race, but part of the race. The crowd just, It's not like it used to be. And Martinsville is one of the least expensive racetracks to go to. A ticket to the Cup race, one of the best seats in the house, is still, I believe, only $75. I went online. I was thinking of going, and it was $75 for like top seats. And the race on Saturday was only, I believe, it was $25. So for $100, you got to see 2 solid days of racing, and it was just a good thing. Oh, I got see that thing move by itself? Isn't that cool? But it was, the backstretch was totally empty, and the corners weren't like full. And those seats in turns 3 and 4 were added. That high, 5 stories high set of grandstands was made because there was waiting lists for years to get tickets to go to Martinsville. And you looked at the lowest section of seats, there wasn't a lot of people there. And I don't know what the deal is. I mean, I think I know what the deal is, and people just can't afford to travel anymore. And Martinsville is really in Ridgeway, Virginia, and the Chamber of Commerce there has made deals with the local hotels and restaurants. Don't price gouge the people. And they're not. I used to stay at a Days Inn over there, and a little plug for the Days Inn. Stayed there forever. I inherited the room from the late Ira Bromley, who had that room for years and years and years when they ran the modifieds there regularly every year. And I kind of inherited his room, and I had the same room every year. And I remember saying to the guy that owned the hotel, manager, whatever, and I said to him, I'm getting on in age, and all this luggage I got, you got a ground floor room for me? And he moved me right to a ground floor room. It was just one of those things. But anyway, Martinsville, it was just a lot of empty seats. And you're seeing that so far this year, a lot of empty seats. So that's not NASCAR's fault. That has nothing to do with NASCAR. That has to do with the local track operators. It has to do with the community, the Chamber of Commerce, the price gouging that goes on between the airlines and the hotels and the restaurants, and the general, the economy in general here. A lot of people don't have the money, that the expendable cash. And I don't know, if somebody just said in the chat room, racing is boring. It depends on what you're looking to see. If you're looking to see good side-by-side racing, lap after lap, a pass here, a pass there, and that's what it's all about. If you're watching it because you want to see wrecks and bumps and grinds and people, I don't know, sending people into the infield, if that's what you're into, that's go to your local racetrack. There's a lot of that. But on the Cup level, it's just, if you watch, I watch races different than most people, and I've been told this. I watch certain things. Especially if it's a qualifying event, I don't look and see who's leading. Doesn't matter. The top 5, 6 are in the race anyway. I look at that last qualified spot. What's going on with those 2 guys? The guy who's in and the guy who's not in. What are they doing to each other? Are they bumping and grinding and pushing and shoving? To me, that's the race. And on a Cup level, especially, you 500 laps in Martinsville, man. That's what, 4 hours, 4.5 hours? And, after a while, it does get maybe a little boring, depending on what you're watching. But you got to understand, now think about it. In order to win the race, you have to be there at the end. So you're going to jockey for position the first 10, 15 laps, 20, 25 laps, maybe. You're going to jockey for position, get that single file thing going, and just get in the groove. Go down the straightaway, go in the corner. Down the straightaway, go in the corner. You get your scheduled pit stops, you change your tires, you add your fuel, and then what happens? Now there's like 50 to go. Let's just say, let's go race now. It's a 50-lap race, not 500 laps. And like 22 figure eight saying there's more people are working out than 5 years ago, and they're not making what they used to make. And I agree with that. Times have changed. There's not a lot of money in the street like there used to be, and the cost of everything is, like I said earlier, skyrocketed. And you go to one of these races for a weekend, you're going for at least $1,000, $2,000, at least minimum. You go to Mars, it's $1,000. You got to get there, whether you drive or fly. You got to get a room. Most of the hotels have a 3-night minimum, and you got to buy your race tickets. And everybody says, you got to eat. Well, you don't eat when you're home. I never include eating when I go to these events. I mean, I eat. Don't get me wrong. I eat pretty good. But you're going to eat when you're home. you might eat differently. And at Martinsville, you don't get those Martinsville hot dogs anymore. They get, I guess, regular hot dogs. I was talking to somebody today who was at the race, and they said it just wasn't the same without the hot Martinsville hot dog. That I think I talked about last week, the red hot dogs. I thought there was something wrong with them. But anyway, what do we got here? The Truck Series. Well, the Camp World Truck Series, we had Joey Logano win from the pole with Matt Crafton second, Eric Jones third. Johnny Sauter was fourth. Taylor Riddle goes fifth. Daniel Suarez was sixth. James Rooster seventh. John West Townley was eighth. Matt Tiffith was ninth, and Justin Boston was rounded out the top 10. The Xfinity Series was off, and they will return April 10th at Texas Motor Speedway. So it'll be good to see them back. They had some time off. And of course, there's no racing this next weekend coming up because of the, at least in the top 3 series, due to the high holy holidays. In a couple level, Denny Hamlin was the winner, followed by Brad Keselowski, and literally followed by Brad Keselowski, who had him sideways coming over fourth for the checker. Joe Logano third from the pole. Matt Kenseth was fourth, and David Reagan fifth. Martin Truex Jr. was sixth, and we have Danica Patrick with a top 10 and seventh. Kevin Harvick eighth, Jeff Gordon ninth, Jamie McMurray 10th. And I'll tell you what, I thought the race was interesting. I really did. And it was good. And what do we say? Kevin Basik. Where is Kevin? Well, Kevin was upstairs getting his computer and camera, I believe, fitted so that he could do some videotaping with us and for us here at In Radio. Kevin Basik, Long Island Need for Speed. Kevin will be with us live in the studio the second half hour. So that'll be good. So he's not missing. He's not at the fire department, WJ. He's not at the meeting. He forewent the meeting, I guess, because he's going to be doing some video for us. So we mic'd up his camera with an in-radio mic, I believe. And we have some electronics that we're going to kind of work together with him with, so that we could use his videos on a more frequent basis. So that's all good. But anyway, Martinsville. The Xfinity Cup, they'll be at the Texas Motor Speedway coming, like I said, April 10th, with the weekend off for Easter, I believe, and Passover. So that's good. So anyway, Super Speedway qualifying. The format changes again. So at the Super Speedways, according to NASCAR.com, Super Speedway qualifying format changes for the I guess the Sprint Cup and Xfinity Series at the Super Speedways, and it's going to go like this: 2 rounds of qualifying with the top 12 posted speeds advancing to the second round. Then the race vehicles, because it could be trucks on the Super Speedway as well. Race vehicles take at least 1 timed lap in each round of qualifying. Race vehicles take one. Now each race vehicle will be, let's see, each race vehicle will be released in a predetermined timed interval by NASCAR. NASCAR reserves the right to have more than 1 vehicle engaging in qualifying at the same time. Qualifying order will be determined by a random draw, and the final qualifying order is in the final round is derived by the slowest to the fastest. The slowest going out there first, and the fastest, and based on their speeds in the first round. A 10-minute break will occur between the first and second round, and then between rounds of 1 and 2. And after the first round, the field will be set with positions 13 and beyond, and then the positions 1st through 12 will be determined in the second round. And the 12 fastest vehicles from the first round will have their speeds reset for the final round, with their positions 1 through 12 determined by final round. So you could be the fastest car in round 1, and you're going to go last in round 2, and if you're not the fastest, you're going to fall wherever you fall. All right? And race vehicles will be impounded following each round of qualifying. So here's my question, and this is in no way to put NASCAR down or anybody down for this qualifying. Why was something that was simple made hard? Now, I'm not thinking, I want to see, especially on the super speedways, a car go out there, they come out of pit road, and they go down the backstretch, and they take the green the first time by, and 45, 50 seconds later, they go in and they get the white flag, and then 45, 50 seconds later, they get the checker flag. So they get a green, white checker. Each lap is at least a minute, 55 seconds. And then they send out the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And qualifying, which they would televise on TV, live, qualifying would take forever. It would take a good hour and a half, 2 hours. Now, then they tried this group qualifying thing, and who sat on pit road, who didn't want to go, this, that, the other thing. And you know what? Just go out there and practice. You got to go out there and practice, and you get it's an hour and a half practice. This is my opinion, an hour and a half practice time, and you got to go. You got to go. There's no not going. There's no not going. There's no sitting on pit road. I don't want to be first. You have a random draw. You say, all right, boom, I draw. You go and you take the pill out. All right, number 75 and number 32, and that's the order you go out in. And then you go and you get online and you're next. You have to do at least one lap. Do it as a group. Qualifying be over in an hour. Everybody can go home, save on fuel and tires. And instead of having 2.5, 3 hours of qualifying on the local racing networks, how about showing that modified race live? The K&N Pro Series race live. Why not show that? A live race that people be interested in seeing instead of watching cars qualify. Yeah, qualifying is, it's like years ago they used to qualify in 2 days. It was first round qualifying, you got the pole. Second round qualifying, you got the outside pole if you were the fastest guy. I remember seeing second round qualifying speed. I'm like, why did they have to do that? They didn't have to do that. Everybody's qualified. And they're not sending a lot of cars home in the Sprint Cup Series. I think they sent 2 home from Martinsville. Brendan Gaughan and Ron Hornaday, they didn't make it. And I didn't think they were going to make it anyway. And nothing against those guys, but I think they would have been starting park guys anyway. Get no points. You still get points even if you don't make the show all the way down the line. The drivers, owners, you still get points. So that's one of the things that I just don't understand. They just keep trying to reinvent the wheel. And just like the chase, they keep trying to reinvent how you get into the chase. And I don't know. I don't know. Get them out there, do some practice, hard practice laps, and like Formula One, qualifying's done in practice. We come back, we'll be talking about the NASCAR Wheel and Southern Modified Tour and what went on at Caraway. And then from the Long Island Need for Speed, Kevin Basik will be joining us. And he got some old pictures and a scrapbook, and we'll talk about some fire department stuff, drill team stuff when we come back.
What's up, guys? We're Scared On Fair, and we're here with Enravio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Russ Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you're punching the But if you have this bracelet from InRavio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on, or else.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, we're back. Hi, Kevin, welcome.
How you doing?
Kevin Basik, Long Island E for Speed, usually in the chat room. Kevin took a ride out. Kevin is going to be doing, I said some video stuff for us.
Correct.
So he got with the powers to be here and got everything all squared away. You were up there a long time.
Oh, we got a new microphone.
Okay.
And, we did some downloading for stuff, so when we go up to Lebanon Valley and Albany, Saratoga, and Oswego, and
There you go.
all those good tracks.
We'll have
Looking
some-
forward to going.
Some dirt guys we'll get to do some interviews with and,
Definitely,
and
man.
bring it back live in the can, so to speak, as they say.
Yeah, we set up the website where I can send the stuff
Very good.
direct, which is good. So we're all set and ready to go.
Always constantly and continuously trying to improve what we do here. And speaking of constantly and continuously improving, the Whelen Southern Modified Tour was in Caraway this past weekend. And Andy Seiss, first victory of the season, with followed by Eric Goodale, Long Islander, with a first and a second. Finishing second. Ryan Priest third. J.R. Bertuccio fourth, and Burt Myers fifth. Now, former Long Islander J.R. Bertuccio, it looked like he had this race in hand from the accounts I'm reading, and a late pit, all the leaders pitted, and he kind of got jammed up getting out of the pits, and he ended up third. But he led, at one point he led like from lap 8 all the way to that pit stop, that late pit stop. And one of the races that he won, he led 145 laps, and I believe he led at least that many, if not more, again this weekend in Caraway. So it's good to see former Long Islander, who's now down south, racing the Southern Tour, doing very well for himself. And I always knew if he got his head on right that that would happen. A talented young man behind the wheel of a race car. And he got jammed up with some stuff over the years, but just looks like it's all good for J.R. Bertuccio.
They got the big bucks anyway, Gershow.
Well, they
Big
do.
bucks. The old
They
man's
do.
got the money.
They do, and that's good.
They got like 4 cars, you know.
I wish, but it's all good. Now, the Southern Modified Tour will be at South Boston, this Saturday, April 4th. And you know, it's funny, I worked that event one year, and I'm looking at the schedule, it wasn't clicking that. I'm flying back on Easter Sunday.
Oh,
my family wasn't happy with me, and my extended family and the people I was with. You know, because, even though I got a 6 o'clock in the morning flight, by the time you do the connection and all that kind of nonsense, I got home like just in time for dinner. And I didn't score any points with the fam that weekend.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's good.
But what are you going to do? It's all good.
Like me showing up to my brother's wedding in my jewel team.
There you go. Why
Yeah,
not?
right. Everybody else is in tux.
Oh, yeah. And as we said last week, Todd Zagady, it's official, will be driving for Bob Garbarino on the Northern Tour, the Whelen Modified Tour. And Rob Fuller Motorsports will run a second car in select races in 2015, tapping Ron Silk former Modified Tour champion, to drive the car part-time. So that'll be interesting to see as well. And speaking of Modified Tour, Tommy Rogers, who was with Mr. Darrow and is going to run a limited schedule on the Modifieds. His car owner went out and bought another car, and between the owner's car, Tommy Rogers' car, the new car, and all the spare parts and equipment that Long Island, that Tommy Rogers has, they are planning on running the tour full time in 2015. So that's a good deal. It's always good to see another Long Islander coming up.
Yeah,
to the
but
tour.
you know what? The local track's losing guys.
Well, yeah, they are, and
Hate to say it.
It's kind of funny. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. When I first became the race director on the tour in 2003, there weren't a lot of Long Islanders, maybe two, and because they were referred to as the Wrong Island Gang. And I mean, that's what they were told. Here comes another guy. They pulled into the pits. Here comes another guy from Long Island. And they'd get that fine-tooth comb out. And one of the officials, and I kid you not, had a ruler, you know, the tape measure thing. And depending on who you were, what ruler came out. And I'm not making this up. The ruler that this gentleman, I'm not going to say who it is, doesn't matter, because anybody that was involved knows. This ruler, it was, you know, one of those Stanley rulers, boom, 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 and he cut a ½ inch off the end, and then riveted or whatever he did, and made a little tabby doohickey thing that sticks on. So every Long Island guy, his spoiler was too low, and his spoiler was too narrow. Every guy. So now what are you going to, you can't add to it. And their measurement is, and nope, and he would tell them, I don't care what your ruler says, my ruler says this. And they'd have to go buy another spoiler.
Boy.
Or open up the window opening, because it was, the measurement was 13½ inches, top to bottom, and theirs would come up 13. And they'd go, they get them. And he'd say, I don't care what this is the rule that we'll go by. And thanks, WJ, 136. I knew it was close. But it was the Wrong Island guy, and it discouraged a lot of guys from Long Island to even try to make it, to even attempt it. And then Howie Brody started showing up.
Joe, isn't a NASCAR modify should be legal at any NASCAR track?
It
Whether
should
it's
be.
the Whelen Tour, no matter what it is, it should be legal at any track. If it passes out at the local track
Well,
or...
here's the problem you have. And we saw this at one of the tour races on Long Island a few years back. And I don't want to mention the guy's name, the driver's name, or the car owner, because it's not relevant to the story. But here's a local guy who's doing well.
Is your daddy?
No, and he's going to come race the tour because the tour is racing at his home track. He's going to do well. And what happens? The tour decided not to honor the local seals that race.
Oh, that was Dave.
Well, I'm not saying. So, the motor didn't come up right.
Yeah.
The guy went home embarrassed.
Yep.
Now, so in answer to your question, it should be, but tech is in the eye of the tech guy in charge. Or like it says in the rule book on the last page, at the discretion of the official in charge. Now, your local guy, if you're in with him and you go drinking scotch and hanging out, you go bowling, whatever you do with the local tech guy, and I'm not saying that happened here, but if you're in with the certain things get overlooked, certain things get, maybe missed accidentally or on purpose. So that when a person comes in to tech your car and doesn't know you, they don't know whether you're Goggles Paisano or Mario Andretti, and they tech your car, and it's not right. It's not right.
I guess so.
That's what happened. And that's why, years ago, I remember when I'm going back, and I always said I wouldn't say that back in my day. When I went back, and we didn't always check everything on the car, other than safety. Safety was checked every week prior to anything of going on a racetrack. Well, there's certain things that we'd have a meeting. Today we're going to check this, and we're going to do that. And I always like wondered why certain teams knew what we were going to check in events because they were friends with officials. And
They do that with
go,
the fire truck racing. Each
There
week
you
it's
go.
something different. You
Yeah,
know what they're going to
you know what it's gonna be.
So that way you can't cheat
You
or do
know?
whatever you got to do.
And you know, it's funny, back in my chief steward days, you know, I'd have a meeting with my officials. I look, tonight after the modifieds, we're going to check clutches. All right, well, okay, all officials nod. Okay, we're going to check clutches in the top 3. And I'm walking around the pits doing my meet and greet that I used to do before the races. And I'd see 4 or 5 modifieds on jack stands changing their clutches. I'm like, what's up with that? Following week with the late models, we're going to check whatever. See 4 or 5 late models changing that part. Now I got to figure out who is whispering in people's ears. So I have a meeting with all my officials, like I always did before practice, and we just go through this is what we're running tonight, this is the order of events, and blah 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 blah. So he goes, "What are we checking tonight?" "Nah, I don't think we're checking anything." All right, so I grab each one by one, and I said to one guy, I said, "All right, tonight on the modifieds, we're going to check clutches." I said to the other guy, "Tonight on the late models, we're going to check this, but don't tell anybody, it's a big secret." And I went down each division, I picked an official that we're going to check. All of a sudden, I see the modifieds up on jack stands. So I knew that was the guy. Following week, I told him about Charger cars, that we're going to do something. Same thing, but he had Chargers. Next thing you know, all the Charger cars are on jack stands.
What'd you do to the guy? Adios?
Send them bowling. Send them bowling.
That's the way it should be.
You know, send them bowling. It only lasted a week, and then he was back on the tow trucks. So,
Oh, whatever.
you know, it's one of those things. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? But it's what happens with tech. And I think one of the things that NASCAR has done, not only in the towing series, but in the top 3, they try to make it, like I know when I worked in Xfinity race, you were assigned a driver, you were assigned a team. You didn't know who you were getting until you got to the racetrack. And you were with them that whole weekend through practice, through tech, through practice, through the race. And I was talking to one of the guys, he goes, you don't know who you get. This way you can't develop relationships.
Yeah, they tell you at the last minute. That's a good idea.
You don't develop relationships. There's
You're right.
40 cars in the Xfinity, I believe there was 38 cars. And in a season, you might, a regular, every weekend Xfinity official, he said, I've never had the same car twice. He was talking.
That's good. That's good.
And you can't develop. I mean, you get to know people just from being in the series, and I did. I had a fun time with that, but it was different.
You can't show favoritism.
You can't. You can't
even
show
even
favoritism.
like with drill team racing. Say if I was an official and my team was up there and I see something, I have to call it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't care. I got to call it.
I mean, I know my first year when I started doing some of the tech on the modifieds, I didn't look at the Long Island cars. Somebody else did with me there.
Right.
And at first I was like, why are they doing that to me? They don't trust me?
Right.
And the more I thought about it, no, I'm glad they're doing that.
Right.
Because now, if something's missed, I didn't miss it.
Right.
They missed it. So it's just how it is sometimes. But, you look at that, tech in these cars, and it's gotten more technical, so to speak. We no longer measure cars with rulers and stuff like that.
You got all those things already
lasered and pre-measured, and these templates and all kinds of good stuff, and it's totally different. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. Anyway, tonight's flying by. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the old days and some of the stuff that went on back in the day when modifieds were modifieds. When we come back.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit hansoncarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hey, this is Chris and Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
What's up, guys? We're Scared on Fair, and we're here with InRavio. If they catch you at a show with one of these bracelets, you will win $100.
That's a lot of money.
So get a bracelet.
Do whatever it takes to get that. Hit them up online.
Hey, we're back. Hey, it was nice. We had a little bite to eat before the show. No,
Yeah, it was
relax,
good. It was good. Yeah,
You know,
it was
my
definitely
chauffeur this week, drove me out. It was good. It's so good. But anyway, I said, Kevin, you got an old scrapbook.
Oh,
here.
right. Yeah,
And,
this is thanks to Mike O'Brien from New Jersey, who does video work also for Need for Speed, and it's stuff for you and for Walter and stuff like that. So
also known as Video Mike.
Video Mike, yeah,
referred
he's
to.
a little sick right now. He called me the other day. Hell of a nice guy, really.
I
really enjoy him.
don't think we'll be able to make out with the glare and whatnot, but these are like some of these old cars, and I think I got it where you can.
The old dirt
Old
modifies.
dirt modifieds and stuff.
Well, they look like a car. I used to run the old Gremlin bodies, Pintos.
But there's just. I was thumbing through this before, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe some of the pictures
The
in
old
here.
sprint cars,
And
midgets.
some Richie Evans stuff in here.
Yeah,
This
right.
is-
Yeah, it's definitely good stuff.
I started keeping scrapbooks of racing years ago, and people used to make fun of me. And now when I tell people, my future son-in-law, when he would come by and he'd go through my books and look at some of the stuff. I had old articles and old pictures and stuff. I have programs that go back to like 95, 96.
So do I. I believe, like I
know?
told you, the old newspapers
All
and
the
stuff
old
like
newspapers
that.
and stuff.
You look at it when you're looking for nostalgia stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny, and I don't know, call me an egotist, call me whatever you want to call me, but I'd read the racing stories and all, whether it was the Gator, whether it was Area Auto,
Yep,
whether
yep,
it was,
yep.
On a website, and if I was in the story, I printed it or cut it out and put it in my scrapbook.
Right, very good.
And people laugh at me, for doing that, But you know what it is? It's not for me so much, but maybe my grandchildren or when they go reading through this stuff and people say, do you know your grandfather did this, that, and the other thing? And no, he didn't. And then they can go right to the book and
Yeah, there
my
it is.
scrapbooks.
Black and white.
And then one day I actually sat and I put everything in chronological order, because I was retired. I had time on my hands. I didn't need, I was like, there's so many video games you could play and so many movies you could watch.
Oh, yeah.
So I would do those things. But, we were talking on the way out. We're talking about, the old days.
Yeah, right.
When modifieds were modifieds. And we're talking about some of the old guys from the day, and Mr. Ferranti, and he had Jimmy Henderson
right.
driving for him.
Definitely.
And we had You know, and then his son, Tony Fonte Jr. was driving.
I'm good friends with them guys.
Yeah,
Really
and,
good friends.
You know, and that little group up there from Nassau County, Long Island, you know.
Yeah, you got
Pop
Billy
Bordemeyer,
Green. You got Billy Green involved. You know, like I said with the fire trucks. Plus, he bought that coach, rebuilt it, drives it on the street. It's a legal modified. He drives on the street.
I drove that at the Himes Museum.
That's great.
At the reunion.
I'm looking forward to being in Belmore the end of April, beginning of May, and hanging out with those guys.
Yeah,
really, my car.
I saw that it was the white car. It was the street legal modified.
The 37.
And the 37, and that's what caught my eye because that's my favorite number, the 37. And the reason, there's a couple of reasons for that. Because one of my Uncle John, who passed away, about 8, 9, 10 years ago. One of his numbers was 37, and I always took a liking to it. And then my girls, when they were born, my twins were born in March, that's the 3rd month, and my other daughter, Jessica, she was born in July, the 7th month. So I became the 37.
Right.
That's how that number came to be, believe it or not. Wow. And I see this car coming, number 37, a modified, driving down the street, and I'm like, whoa. And I was kind of, wow.
That thing was a pile of junk sitting in the corner.
So I'm sitting there, and I says, would it be all right if I sat in it, So, he let me sit in it, and he goes, want to take it for a spin? And I melted. I was like a little kid. And we went out through Bayshore, down Sunrise Highway. I had up to like 80, 85 miles an hour, come back. And because when I was driving, I'm like doing 55. Driving somebody else's car.
Right.
Guy goes, punch it out, man. Really? Bam, and off we went. And I had such a good time with that car. But those are modifieds.
He actually has another Richie Evans car that he's going to restore and go vintage racing.
Wow. See?
I'm looking forward to that.
And we've talked about that vintage. I got to try. I'd love to do it because I'm old enough,
Well, your local track will have it August 15th.
August 15th, down Long Island.
The local track will have it.
Hopefully we get a good showing for that.
Get more cars than they had last year.
We were talking to Howie Brody about that.
Oh, he loves them old cars too.
Man,
he watched them as a kid.
He said those cars would be competitive today.
Yeah, they're about a second slower. Maybe some of them, you do the right setup, will be right there. Because Don Howe's car, that's the old Cavalier that was built back in the 80s, was a second slowest. He would have had 11th fastest time.
Wow.
Out there at Riverhead and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those cars get around. You do the right gear ratio and stuff like that, they'll get around.
Well, I remember going back to the Ice and Speedway days when I didn't really watch the modifieds as I got older until I became an official. But back in the Ice and Speedway days, watching the modifieds of them, and that was a tiny 1/5 of a mile racetrack, and Jimi Hendrix, Charlie Jazombach, all of those guys from that day and that era, there was some hard charging racing, man, back then that you don't see today.
And they all have respect for one another.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't go after one another with crowbars and all that crap. They settled it with a beer. Yeah, I'll give you a beer. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. What do you need? You need help fixing it?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that was the good old days, man. Like I just got done doing a pictorial thing of old Charlie J's cars. I put it on my wall. I actually have 2 of them. One with all the Cavalier stuff, and the other one's with the coupe and the square top coupe and the what else? The first Vega they have. I put those 2 on my wall and stuff like that. I'm going to do another one with my brother's stuff.
So when I first started going to ICE, it was the coupe.
I was around when the X3 was a Mustang.
Yes.
And they still had the what do you call it, before the Pinto revolutions. They all had, they like Gary Winters had a Cougar, and Mousy Kempster was running. He still had his coach. Plus he came out with a Mustang a year later. And Cliffy Tyler had a Camaro, and then Jim Hendrickson had a Camaro, and I could tell you all of them. And then they had the Pinto Revolution, where the X3 was a Pinto.
It was like overnight.
Yeah. Artie Tappan had a Pinto.
Zombach's Vega.
The Vega, and then Artie Tappan had a Vega. And the Gremlin of Richie Gromes. Mousy Kempster came back out with a Gremlin.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. All them old cars, man. And I love the cars when they had the All-Star League.
Yeah.
Those guys
said that.
They all came from upstate and stuff like that. And
22 figure eight set, the All-Star race.
And I remember those 300-lap All-Star races. Those were the best.
Yeah.
And Freeport had races, the same thing. They had Bicentennial 200 and stuff like that. Richie Evans, Jerry Cook. Troyer was there with my brother's car when Troyer was running it.
Wow.
Those were the days, man.
Those
were the days.
Anyway, speaking of the days, our day's over. I can't believe how fast the time goes. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for being a part of the show today. I wish everybody a happy holiday, happy Easter, happy Passover, and enjoy your family. Be safe out there, whatever you're going to do. We'll be back Monday, and Monday after Easter we'll be back. And there's not a lot of racing going on next Monday, next weekend.
Yeah,
but we'll
papers
be
are
here.
empty. There's nothing going
Yeah.
on. You figure to be racing by now.
Yeah,
Too much snow. Too much
Again,
snow.
Thank you, everybody. Tell somebody you love them. Give them a hug. God bless you all, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.